Season's greetings and welcome to another episode of Two Balls and a Mic 177. The sun has finally come out. Today is tomorrow, and we have San Diego soccer news. San Diego Wave lose against Angel City in the big local game, heavily advertised, 25,000 at Snapdragon, baking in the sun for a Angel City win. We'll talk about that. We're also going to go ahead and talk about the championship for the UPSL Championship, San Diego Internacional, local as it gets. San Diego Internacional will face Escondido in the championship. We will go ahead and be the broadcast team for that this upcoming Sunday. We'll go ahead and have details with that. We're also going to talk about midweek. Is San Diego Loyal back on track with a couple of ties against some important teams? They get a little bit of a break, 10 days, 4 days for the players. We'll see what that means moving forward. We're also going to talk about La Decepción Mexicana. Nations League.
La Decepción Mexicana.
Nations League, U.S. winning 3-0. Was that game technically abandoned?
Yeah.
The game ended, right? Like earlier than it should have.
I think, what was it, like?
Because it was 12 minutes of extra time. He ended it at the 90.
Yeah, he ended it early.
Something, right?
He ended it early for the chant.
I don't condone any of the chant, what happened on and off the field. I especially don't condone those 3 goals by the U.S. at all. But I have to say, like, we're sticking to the rules. The game was abandoned. By default, you win. U.S., congratulations. Guess what the scoreline is?
30-0 when you lose by default.
Yeah, but that's what it should be, right? Which means you take away those goals from Pulisic and Pepe, and, it is what it is. So I submit my official protest to have that game go down as an abandonment and have those goals rescinded from Pulisic and Ricardo Pepe. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you guys can't, follow the rules, then why even have them at all? But
That's
all right.
a very good point.
So we saw the U.S. Versus Mexico, a very depleted, malnutrido, malnourished, bottom of the barrel Mexico team that essentially we saw live here at Snapdragon when they faced the powerhouse of Cameroon. Do you know that they beat Brazil in the World Cup?
Some great sports reporter, let me know.
100%. But essentially, Mexico has been on this trajectory of misery for a while. A lot of people who hear us talking about Mexico are like, "Oh, you guys are too negative about Mexico. You guys do this." This is kind of what we've been talking about. Like, it's been happening slowly. But I don't know. What did you think about this Mexico-U.S. fiasco?
I mean, first of all, let's just announce, like, after this, considering that Coca's out now, right? Before this lineup, you look at the players that they have, and you have Uriel Antuna still. And if you don't know who Uriel Antuna, very pacey player, plays in Cruz Azul, used to play for Chivas, was in the academy for Man City, so very hopeful, up-and-coming player. But just eventually now, just all he is known for is his speed. So you don't really need to have him on there. You don't start Johan Vasquez, who's a center back that plays with heart, that's playing in Italy, maybe not in the best of teams, but you start him regardless, right? You have to. He's literally a talented player. You're still starting Gallardo, and people have heard us talk about Gallardo before. I mean, at the end of the day, he had a few good World Cups, but that kind of just ended. I don't like it, Tony. You have the best striker, the top scorer of the Europa League, in your bench, and you start Henry Martin.
Wait, Mexico does?
Yes.
Of course they do, but that's crazy, right? Like, you have La Bomba Martin out there who first of all, I mean, se echó la sal el mismo by blowing you off with a question here at Snapdragon, typical Americanista, right? Like,
think about that. The top scorer of the Europa League, like, that's the second most prestigious, technically, tournament in Europe under the Champions League. You have the best player of the tournament on your bench. You don't start him. literally a great player for freaking Feyenoord in the Netherlands league. Like, that doesn't piss you off?
No.
No. Es que
Does it really matter?
Ya no eres fan de la selección.
No.
güey.
That's
No eres
never-
fan de la
that's not what I
selección,
said.
güey.
That's
No,
not what
es
I
que no
said.
eres fan de la selección.
Listen, are you listening or are you talking? You
I'm
can't
listening.
do both because it's hard for you to do one at a time. That was mean. No, it's not that I'm not a fan of the selección. That's never going to change. Like, I'm coming back into it, and what I find is just the same people that were there when I used to be a big selección fan. But what I don't see in this selección is like any sort of leadership, any sort of strong voice out there that's going to be, making sure that everything's under control, that a red card doesn't happen in the 69th minute, that people just lose their heads in that way. Like, I was thinking about it, like, when would you see a Mexico team? Yeah, they were dirty, but this game, they were just filthy, like a disgrace to the game, because if you can't hang, then you just can't hang, and that's the thing. Just admit that you were never good to begin with. Like, La Selección has been this giant in CONCACAF for so many years because they've been the best. They have been the best teams. They have had the best everything. Now that other teams are catching up, just let it go. Like, you're not that. You're not. Mexico thinks that they are what the U.S. is right now. But they haven't changed. They haven't progressed. They haven't done anything. Does this Nations League mean anything, though? That's what I mean when I'm like, oh, do you care? I'm like, I don't know. Does it matter?
I mean,
does this Nations League tournament matter?
It matters when you win it. It's the same thing, right? I mean, it's a tournament that every confederation have now. UEFA has a Nations League. CONMEBOL has everyone has a Nations League now. So eventually you want to win it because at the end of the day, this is defining who the best is. Mm-hmm. It's silverware. It's trophies. It's bragging rights. It's everything that you want to. But just losing this way is unacceptable too. And you talk about leadership, and I agree. There has to be players that step up. Edson Alvarez is at a point in his career where he needs to step up and be that freaking leader now. He's about to sign for $40 million. They're about to buy him for $40 million. Dortmund. Like, you have to be that player now. You have to be what Rafa Marquez was. You have to be what Andres Guardado was, the leader, the captain armband. You need to have it. If Ochoa's not going to do it, I mean, first of all, you don't like when goalkeepers are captains.
Captains, no, there's nothing for them to do. Like, he can't be running halfway down the field.
But Edson needs to step up and be that by now. Luis Chavez is already 30. He's not going to do it. He's fairly new to the selección, so he's not going to get that chance. And I think all your players in the back line are very young to have that responsibility. If anything, I think it has to be Edson Alvarez who needs to step up and be that leader, because you look at other players on the bench, and it's a lot of young players. If anything, the most veteran at this time is Ochoa, Edson Alvarez.
So, does this matter then? Again, going back to it, does this tournament matter at all? Like, what's worse? Had Canada eliminated you, would Coca have been fired? Or is it the fact that you lose against the U.S.?
No, I think the fact that you didn't get to the finals what got him fired, and knowing the lack of, like, players or what you're doing is what got him fired. But then there's always those rumors where, it's so much corruption. They force him to start these players. At the end of the day, you're going to need a coach that's going to just legit nut up and be like, I'm going to play whatever players I want and get the results I want. And I really hope Jimmy Lozano is that coach for us. It's going to be interim, but I'm excited to see what the Gold Cup looks like with them. But like I said, like, it was embarrassing just watching this. It was dirty. It's literally when Rafa Marquez loses his head when he was younger, even at the old age,
he still lost his head.
But that was everyone.
Like, everybody just decided this is the WWE now. Like, we're gonna turn this violent.
It was bad, and and the fans didn't help either. My mom was at this game, and she just told me, "I know, eso está bien feo. Like, todos están peleando, everyone's fighting, everyone's throwing kicks." So she didn't enjoy it at all.
Wait, at the game or in the stands?
Both. Both. Like, she meant, no, se están peleando todos, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and at the end of the day, I agree with you, Tony. It's at a point where you have to say U.S. is better than Mexico. And
like,
all the highlights. We're showing
like
this.
this. I don't know. I mean, this is what highlight from Mexico do you want me to show?
No, no, no,
The
no,
crosses
no.
that don't go in. Like, no. I mean, this is the beginning of it. Like
Wait,
those.
Es que
They were knocking. They were dominant. Like this U.S. team is strong as hell. I think this might have happened because you also at the last loyal match looked at Landon Donovan in the face and said, "Go Mexico."
yeah, I did. I really did.
I was mad at you for that.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he's laughing at you now.
I don't think he cares about me.
Pulisic was on a tear. I mean,
He was.
it's again like the superior quality in players on the field. Because look, yeah, Pulisic, who's at Chelsea, has Champions League winning experience. Timmy Way is fantastic. McKennie, awesome. Musa is going to be great. Gio Reyna, finally back on there, as he should have in the World Cup. You have that experience with Serginho Dest, who also lost his head, but, whatever. Like, I mean, this is a team that has an important player top to bottom, and they're utilized correctly, and it's a team. Every time that there was a red card, some sort of scuffle, you can see everybody coming back together and regrouping. The Mexican team was just doing their own thing, deciding what to do, just losing their heads. And I mean, it's crazy because I don't know. There's just so many ways to interpret what happened. Like the English broadcast was interesting on the red card, right? Like immediate, obvious red card, 100%. Like there's nothing to discuss there. This is the sound of the red card for Mexico. Not that. Estás. Perfect.
Put it in the middle by Antuna. Strong. Balogun defense, and you see here just track it.
That was the actual moment of the kick, the moment of the red card, immediate. Yes, there's no real urgency. There's no real weight to that moment. I mean, that's just a criticism from something I'd like to hear. But the Mexican side isn't all that good either because, I mean, at least for Televisa, for those of you that know, like, for those of you that don't know, actually, like, there's two major outlets and they have their own commentary team, TV Azteca and Televisa. TV Azteca having the better quality as of late, couple years.
I think it's been a while, right, where TV Azteca is more entertaining.
Yeah.
Acá viene César Montes. Quiere aprovechar, pero no. Tiró ahí una patadita. Ya se van sobre Vela y empujones. Y se armó.
Una patadita.
Una patadita, just like diminishing the moment, like not really knowing and having the guts to like, no, Mexico's in the wrong here. Like, Mexico's in the wrong. What?
It's funny because as Mexicans, everyone always just uses, like, minimizes the word. Like, una patadita, unas cosquillitas. Es un partidito.
Un codito.
Es un codito en la
Little elbow
carita.
here.
Una patadita. No, fue una patadota.
And then this is why we like what we're talking about, TV Azteca. Because they call it as it is. They call it as it is. Let's see.
Arranca el defensa central, sigue Montes, ya va a perder contra.
Like,
La patada y se
cuts off what he was saying. Just goes, ooh.
arranca el defensa central, sigue Montes, ya va a perder contra.
Adiós.
La patada y se
Adiós.
va expulsado, y luego se arma la gorda, señor Medrano.
Lo que faltaba, señor Martinoli.
And I think that's, just a part of the reason, right? Because they're still the side that's being apologetic for this type of play, that they're being apologetic for, the passion and this and this and that. But when passion just boils over into the crowd, like the crowd's not innocent in this at all whatsoever. It's another dark day in Mexican national football history.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, ¿sabes qué? Chinga su madre. This tournament doesn't matter.
I mean, it matters to Diego Coca. Go ask Diego Coca if it matters.
Of course it matters. And you know what else matters? He got fired. They gave him the boot, and Diego Coca was announced that he's no longer the head coach for the Selección Mexicana. Jimmy Lozano is going to be the new interim manager. For those of you who don't know Jimmy Lozano, he led Mexico in the last Olympics to the bronze medal. Very promising team, promising lineups that he was putting out, great environment that he was showing with the club, Selección. So I am very excited to see what Jimmy Lozano is able to produce for this Gold Cup. But at the end of the day, he has limited resources where he doesn't have as much time with the players, with the team. But he does have that familiarity. Is that the word?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh,
There you go.
with some of the players that he had in the Olympics. So that's exciting.
So this is actually, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen this?
Yeah, you sent it to me.
Did you see it though?
I was at work, so no.
So why did you say yes?
I saw that you sent it.
But
I got you there.
no.
Yes, I did. No escucho, güey.
También pertenece a la afición y todos le hemos fallado.
Essentially, it's a reporter saying like this team, the selección, belongs to everybody, including the fan base, right? But everybody has let the team down. The team has let everybody down as well.
Familias enteras que se reúnen en casa, frente a una pantalla, con toda la ilusión de sentirse orgullosas de su equipo.
So, it's true. Like the family gathers together. Hey, seleccion's playing. Like, let's watch this, and the illusion of it's gonna be a great match, and we're gonna be entertained, and we're gonna love
What's
it.
crazy is like even with selección is la mamá, las tías, they even start watching some of the game, and they wear their jerseys and they start watching, but it's a family thing, and yeah.
You feel proud of your team. You feel proud to root for your team.
Esta etapa ha sido viciada por el desorden en la toma de decisiones, por la falta de procesos, rigor y transparencia en los nombramientos. El fútbol es más que un negocio. Es un patrimonio que también pertenece a la afición y todos le hemos fallado.
So essentially, it goes down to the decision making of who's on the team, and even going further with that, you have the chance coming back at the end of the match. Obvious frustration. Everybody's drunk. It's in this madre. But again, you're going to the point as a fan base that you're actively hurting your selección. I'm not saying that. Okay, you want to thought a goal 3-1. Okay. But these are real sanctions, and now you've as a fan base, you've been banned from games. You've been told that this is going to happen. We spoke with some of our friends that helped run the PA for the Mexico game here. There is a whole system that they have to go during sound check, and they have to go through the rules and warnings. There's level 1, there's level 2, there's level 3, and there's level 4. Level 1 is just like, hey, stop with the chant, stop. Number 2 is like, yeah, hey, like stronger, stop, guys, like the skin effect. Number 3 is like, hey, one more and it's done. 4, and maybe it's 4, maybe it's 3, and the game's over. And
No,
so
I think it's 3, right? It's the warning, then the game gets paused, and then if they do it again, the game's over.
So, and again, that's essentially what happened. Is it a wash of a tournament? Is it, what do you do? Do you just destroy everything and bring him back up? You have the players that need those minutes, right? Ochoa looked terrible. In that last goal by Ricardo Pepi, he got dragged and didn't even make the effort to dive for the ball. That's just age. Like I see like the age in Ochoa where it's like, oh man, like it's not the same.
You have the younger goalkeepers. You start giving them the chance. It's a matter of, again, getting a coach that's not going to be afraid of the federation and say, screw you guys. I'm going to play the team that I want, the younger players that are the future of the team. And, who that person will be, who knows? Will the federation even consider a person like that? Probably not. Do you really think things are going to change? We hope so, but do you really think within the next 2 years, 3 years, by the World Cup, shit's going to change for Mexico?
They don't have to. That's the thing. That's the problem. They don't have to because they're already qualified. They already qualified for the next World Cup.
But that's the thing, though, right? If you want to compete, if you want to get
Do
to
they,
that famous...
Do they?
They should.
Is Mexico more like a Harlem Globetrotters than an actual soccer team at this point? They just travel and sell out places. That's why I'm happy that for
it
the
was
third
empty.
place was fucking empty.
So was for the final. But.
Good. That too. Nobody cares about the U.S. versus Canada, apparently.
And that just shows, too, that you need Mexico to sell out stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. alone won't sell stadiums, at least not in Vegas. But you go to Columbus, maybe they'll sell out that stadium. But again, the U.S. should be selling out every stadium they go to now. That just shows that soccer, where it's at in the U.S., is still very minimal. It's growing, but they have a lot of work to do still. You need the selección to be able to sell out stadiums anywhere.
And it'll be interesting because, again, this, I think, is a product that we're seeing right now of what the U.S., the Project Soccer in the U.S. in the 90s, right? Let's see. Weston McKinney. What year was he born? He's 24. He was born 98. So 98, you're...
It's going to be 25 in August.
Yeah, but the World Cup here was in 94, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 4 years of infrastructure after the World Cup. You start building teams. You start build like he's a product of that post-World Cup era and breaking all of it down. One more wave of World Cup and the progress that the U.S. is going to make after 2026, there's a chance that there's no catching the U.S. after that. And you're getting left behind. Canada is ahead of you. Like, you barely beat Panama. You get a golazo scored by Panama that an offside saves you. Like, it's just a sad state of affairs where we're at with Mexico. And I can't believe that now is when we get to cover them. The worst Mexico team of all time. It's a little weird. It's like having spoken somebody who just vanished. Like, Diego Coco was there, talked with him. Now he's not. It's weird.
I just see a video of Johan Vázquez just like saying, estoy decepcionado de que no me dan los minutos. Like in one of the zona mixtas. Very interesting because, I mean, when a player just openly speaks out, right, that, like, I'm disappointed at the lack of minutes I'm getting. That just shows, again, like, the level of respect the players have for the coach. Because if a player has respect for the coach, they're not going to go out and say, no, I'm upset, I'm not playing, blah, 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 blah. Like, they're not actively going to do it. They're gonna say, well, I respect the coach's decision and I got to work harder. But they didn't have the respect. And again, that goes with get a freaking coach that's Mexican.
Who? Herrera again?
I mean, let's see what Jimmy Lozano doesn't want to be there.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Okay, so this guy, we're heralding like, oh my God, he's gonna come in and he knows what it takes and this and this and this. Well, why didn't he get the job when Coca came in? Because he didn't want to.
And again, why doesn't he want to? He knows how corrupt it can be. He knows he's gonna get a slap on the wrist if he doesn't do the right things that they want him to do. So we'll see how Copa de Oro looks. Apparently, the rosters for the U.S.
are the exact same. For Mexico, are going to be the exact same.
Mexico's same, a few drops. The U.S. dropped some of their best players as well, essentially sending a B team. We're to the point where the U.S. is sending a B team now.
Yeah, and they're probably going to take it.
Most likely.
They're probably going to take it. Like,
most likely.
Remember those times? Oh, you got 2 tournaments in the summer. Who's the B team for Mexico? Oh, there is no B team.
Yeah.
Las Olimpiadas.
Yeah.
Imagínate cosas chingonas.
Damn.
But you know what, boy? Gracias, Diego Coca. What are some of these comments?
Que fuera maratón.
Damn. I mean, and the fans are calling for like the federation to step it up. Like,
like they're calling for the heads of like the higher ups of the league. Bienvenido, Jaime Lozano.
Yeah, because it's the owners who dictate. Like, I have this cool player. I need you to play this guy. He's my guy. I need you to play Henry Martin.
Yeah, like it's whack how it's controlled.
Alexis Vega's out, but anyway.
Vale verga la selección. Copa de Oro is about to start.
We'll be there.
Semifinal
Cover for the U.S. as they make it to the championship game against Jamaica.
Oh yeah, most likely.
Yeah, Canada. Can they? Yeah, right.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Mexico has to beat Canada.
La selección. Triste. And even more sad is San Diego Wave losing to SoCal rivals, Angel City.
So we had this rivalry match, right? Sorry, cut you off.
No. Yeah, exactly. Like rivalry match. Essentially, you ended up going to this game. We also had a few hours after that UPSL coverage, or as the Inter is playing their semifinal. So we made the decision. All right, you go, show your face around, you know, munchy, munchy, munchy. Was the food good?
No. It was a breakfast burrito at 1 p.m.
Was it the same person that makes the food?
Yeah, but I mean, breakfast burrito at 1 p.m. doesn't slap as much.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
But anyways, I mean, you show your face, you go over here, the lineup, we see that. Was this game already where it's the last game with the main starters, right? They're about to go to the Women's World Cup.
yeah,
They're
so
gonna get
that's
called
about
up
that's
already?
about to start. That's going to be a whole thing coming up. So you're going to lose a couple players here, even the starting lineup, right? Like you're not going to have Morgan. You're not going to have. Is this even it? No, this isn't even it, sir.
Yeah, I was like, Van Egmond? Like, what?
Van Egmond did.
She came in
she
as a
came back
sub,
as a
yeah.
sub. Yeah, let's show the right highlights, Tony. Essentially, it was a day game. 1 p.m. kickoff. It was very interesting.
And
I think.
sorry to cut you up, but last season for like SDSU football games, they said don't have games in the day because there's no shade. Was that the case in this game? No shade. It
No,
was a
sí,
sunny
güey,
day.
crecieron shade. Yeah, of course it was the case. What do you mean? Yeah, like
Sucks.
people were. It was hot, so I got there and it's a different vibe because it was the first like sunny day in a while, and so people were tailgating, and I think it's the residue from the Mexico game where it's like, oh man, like that was really off the walls, like no
Was
rules,
fun,
like
yeah.
whoever comes, like whatever happens type of thing. And I think that was picked up a little bit more. I saw a little bit more tailgating than I would have before. But essentially, like it was hot, and that was going to be a challenge for a lot of people.
It was a hot 69 degrees.
Hot 69. The sun was strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, people were burning like during halftime. Like everybody, as soon as halftime ended, everybody headed back into the shade. Like everybody, because
I bet.
yeah, it was scorching down there.
Coworkers that went to the game that showed me, look at my sunburn, like just from being there one half. Like it was bad. But yeah, so essentially you have the starting lineup, right? So essentially it's kind of what they've been starting. Same backline, Kaylin Sheridan, Engie and Kalaprico at center mids, Jaden Shaw, Amira Ali. How do you pronounce Dougherty Howard?
I'll give you that.
Yeah, right.
I'll give you that.
Alex Morgan. It's a solid lineup again. It's what you have. You have Kelsey Turnbull back as a game changer. You have Van Egmond. I don't like that. That's as substitutes. It's supposed to be game changers.
Yeah. What's up, CBS?
What's up, CBS? The heck.
Respect the game.
I mean, and you have Taylor Korniak. You have Barcenas. You have Mackenzie Doniak. So you have weapons as game changers for sure. But then you also have a strong Angel City side.
Do you really though? Because they were like they're the second to last.
I mean,
it was a trap game.
But we know any team in the NWSL can beat any team.
Yeah.
And then with 2-3 wins, you go from 7th place to like 2nd place. So it's a very competitive league, regardless with all 12 teams. So you were here, you were there the first half. What was the vibe? I mean, besides the tailgates, game started. What did you like? What didn't you like?
I don't know if San Diego Wave have a solid plan on how to score goals. Goals are just kind of happening, and that's something that we've been seeing for a while. Where if there's not a lot of build-up play, if they're not being dangerous on the wings, they really missed Sophia starting here. You can tell that there was times where Morgan would turn and just pass it into space where hopefully Sophia's there, but she's not. Couple of opportunities, a couple of good stops and saves. 2 water breaks, 69-degree day. I've never seen 2 in one half. But essentially, like, it was another San Diego Wave match that was frustrating because at the end of it, you know that the goals are going to come from a mistake probably from the other side. Not necessarily a great build-up play from San Diego Wave. And eventually that ended up happening. First half, action was okay. It was good back and forth. There was a couple of instances where, you know, Casey was upset just because of, I'll say this. So my favorite play in the first half was a ball that rolled over to Casey as she was sitting in the cooler. And it was a ball for Angel City. Ball rolls over. She catches it. Angel City player starts approaching. She just tosses it back. She's like, go get it. Like gamesmanship. Like she's in it. She's in the game as much as everybody else.
That's so gangs. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, she's setting trends, right? We saw on Wednesday for the San Diego Low game,
Everybody's
head
sitting on a
coach,
cooler.
sitting on a cooler. So trendsetter.
But I
Casey
want
Stoney.
yeah. So then eventually what ended up happening, second half rolls in, and kind of what we're saying, right? Like a goal out of nowhere, a fantastic goal. Like it's amazing that this went in the way that it did. So good play here. It's going to be an assist for Morgan.
McNabb, like she hit it perfectly. I mean, great setup play. Also,
We've seen that
Morgan
before.
finding the space, and you know, we've seen those get scored on. Like we've seen San Diego Wave get scored on like that as well. Like beautiful goals, and it was time for McNabb to get on the scoring sheet. And you know, again, this is a player that adapts very much, and I've spoken about her many times. Where she starts out last season as a center defensive mid, then she goes to the left back position, then she played center back before, back to the left back position. Like a player like this is irreplaceable.
Yeah. And then if you have her on the field, then you have Van Egmond on the field, then you have Calaprico on the field. Like you are able to play and maneuver things
through the legs.
Yeah, through the legs. It's a fantastic strike. The way it just elevates. Like, look at that. Nothing.
Con riflazo. That was a good goal.
But that's as good as it got for San Diego Wave that day, because later on it turned into sour grapes. San Diego Wave concedes on another set piece.
And that's their biggest weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just not being able to defend corner kicks in particular. Like clearing the ball, they just missed the header.
Everybody misses the header, to be fair.
At this point, Taylor Kornick's already on the field. And again, I think she's not the best at being able to cover corners. You're the biggest person on the field. You should be able to clear those corners. You should be able to know where the ball is going to go. You should be able to get there by the time the cross is going to you. And that's the problem with having her being too offensive, where she's not going to know how to defend.
And I
that's
guess
understandable.
that goes along with, like, obviously you want her to be, you know, a little bit more up top in a creative role, but her size, her height,
It's
lead
meant to
for a
be in
good
defensive
midfield.
role.
Yeah, just a straight center midfielder, not even a center defense, just a straight center mid. Couple good looks by Wave as well, close to the end of the game. Ball travels up and over, but at the end of the match, you know, it's kind of how that goes. The second goal does roll in for Angel City, and again, it's off a mistake. It's off a mistake in that same area. Right there, where the ball's traveling up. You got to control that. You got to bring that down, or just clear it. Let it bounce and clear it. Tries to control it there with Muslo.
Was that Westphal? No.
But ultimately that leads to the 2-1. The Waves, San Diego, the Angel City supporters who came out like they were loud. They were loud. Give them their props. They're up in their little section. They put them all the way up top to the right.
Yeah, no, we've heard them before, and yeah, they show out for their team for sure, and just gives you that perspective where some of those supporters are from the MLS supporters group.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't
32-52? Yeah.
So I mean,
AKA Los Carnales de Jerry.
Los compitas del Jerry. Shout out to Jerry Jimenez. But let's hear from Casey Stoney, right? I mean, at this time, we weren't able to be at the press conference. We had to do our commentary gig, and you know, because we support all local soccer and we stay loyal to our roots. Honestly, as the Inter first group to give us a shot at commentary, so you know, gotta be there. Semifinal.
We can stop qualifying it. It's fine.
You can stop what?
Qualifying why we're there, why we left. Like, it's fine. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Boys.
Let's hear from Casey Stoney.
Well, first half we were good. Thought we controlled the game in certain elements, controlled the ball. Second half we weren't good enough by our standards. I don't think, you know, we didn't really come out of the dressing room at half time. Allowed them to get on top. We could play forward. We played backwards, which allowed pressure moments. And I'll be honest, the goal was a matter of time, really, it looked like, from them. So we have to be better. I'll look at what, you know, the changes are made, how we set the team up, and what we can do to improve. We've obviously got another big game next weekend, but I'm very rarely critical of the team. But the second half was not good enough for us tonight.
And then right, you have the rain next weekend, which is a big one. Kind of after that performance, what do you think the focus of practice should be?
I think we need to keep the ball better in the second half. A lot of their chances come from our turnovers. I think we need to play forward more. We need to be more positive with the ball. We need to look at the corner again, conceded from another set piece, which is immensely frustrating after defending them so well for so long. So we need to look at that and see how that's happened. And also look at how we set the team up. And obviously we're missing Sophia, we're missing Rachel, which does have an impact on our team and our ability to stretch teams. So yeah, we need to look at how we can get a result against Rain, how we have to play to make sure that we get a result with the players that we've got available.
And that's going to be important. The players that are available, just because that's coming on down. You hadn't heard that, and she mentioned exactly what you were talking about, right? Just being able to not defend corners as well, and in those situations where you can't lose it in those areas. So very self-aware. They're always good at, Wave's always good at coming back and adjusting the errors as they go. So maybe it'll be easier, but it's going to be with a different group of players coming up soon. Not different. You've been working the whole year, but now these players are going to be starters. They're going to have to step up. So we'll see about that. We had that same day, right? Like there was some controversy even in the stands because
Why didn't you just pop the balloons to put them in the trash bag?
I don't know. That's a great
Put
question.
the balloons in the trash can. Just pop them.
So you see here, security at Snapdragon. Taking away the balloons. The balloon, one of them actually made it onto the field.
Qué distracción. Like un globito.
I mean, it's in the rules, right? Like there's two halves. This is un globote.
Some rules are stupid.
This is un globote. Like I'm always okay with anything, any antics that happens in the stands, as long as nobody gets hurt, as long as it's not too much over the line. Like it's okay if you get caught up.
Do you think a balloon is over the line?
I mean, it's not. It's in the rules. Look, I went to a graduation for National University, which, by the way, National and Petco very disappointed in you for the ADA access in that. But I was gonna bring the camera with a big lens and Pito mic, but it's literally a microphone. It's a little Rode microphone that looks like a Pito. Does brings me flashbacks. But essentially,
go ahead, keep talking.
Because I think the boy is here on our way. But yeah, no, they didn't let me go into Petco Park with the lens that I had. They're like, nope, we can't allow you to do this, because Petco Park still has those rules about not being able to have cameras and large things at the event. So I just had to go back, store my things. You can go that way. You can go that way. You can go that way. It's fine. Yeah, no, 100%.
Look what the fuck he's wearing. Look what he's wearing.
What's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh. No, we're not giving him shit. He's just gonna stand there micless.
God damn it. Who is
We're joined by Alan Underwood.
American patriot extraordinaire, Alan Underwood.
Getting some headphones.
It's all right.
I guess.
I can hear myself.
You can hear yourself?
It's actually it's actually a women's kit when they won their fourth World Cup.
You don't want headphones?
No, I can use headphones.
Yeah. You put them back.
He said no. He said he didn't want them.
I don't need them, but
oh man.
Oh, the LAFC or the.
Where do you stand
City.
on this? The balloon confiscation.
So I just dislike when people wear or when they bring what are those things called?
Can you hear good?
I can hear good now.
When people bring what are those things called?
Extra or
Beach balls.
Beach balls.
Beach balls.
I just like beach balls at baseball games. So, like, I understand they have like a policy, inflatable shenanigans, but it's also a really bad look when you're catching them after the fact and having to clean it out. Like that just looks bad because you're like, we're losing and we're also treating you like poo.
No, my question was, why don't they just pop the balloons to put them in the trash bag? Why would they put the balloons like?
Maybe because of noise.
We gotta bring that up to your boys, head of security. For
I will.
all-
That'll be the
all
question.
Sporting events.
That'll be it. But again, if there's
We
flares,
should
if there's
interview them at the next Loyal game.
hey guys, what's it like working at a bigger venue?
More people to police.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Better
Yes.
job security because if you're up on the list, you're definitely gonna get called.
They even have Black Ops just members in the section just sticking out like a sore thumb
Yeah.
Yeah, I
standing
saw
there.
that with at the L3 game.
at the L3 game. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that guy looks suspicious. Isn't it weird? Like the guy who is not supposed to be the suspicious one is the one that is actually the most suspicious looking.
Yeah.
Like,
Like you can always tell, like if you're like selling dope to a cop, like not that I do that, but it's like,
what?
are you talking for personal experience?
I mean,
This guy.
I never did.
National City, bro.
That's fair.
National City, fool.
You're like you're a Poe.
San Diego Wave dropped to 5th place in the league. Is this not working too much?
Yeah, it's
Alan?
all good.
No, put them on. Look, I got you. What about now?
Yeah, dropped to 5th. Kind of a disappointing loss. Again, dropping points from a winning position at home.
How's that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's upsetting. Like I watched part of that game and I thought they started out pretty well, but losing to your rival.
can I see those headphones real
home.
quick? Sorry about that. I just want to make a little quick adjustment here. Just
They're not. They're performing about as well as a specific national team did at.
you're about to get the headphone treatment right now too.
But yeah, San Diego Wave's next game. It's against Rain.
Yeah.
Saturday, June 24th.
Yep.
It'll be at Snapdragon, 7 p.m. San Diego Loyal will have a game at 4 p.m., which we'll get to.
I
make
will
a
be at
prediction.
that Wave game.
Oh, nice.
My nephew will be in town. We will be picking him up for the airport on Friday. We got the Pride pack to get the little bucket hats.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we got that. We're gonna take him out. He doesn't know we're going yet. We're just gonna be like, we're going to a soccer
Good thing he
game.
doesn't listen to 2 balls and a mic.
He probably doesn't.
Oh, wow.
He plays video games. He's like 13. If I tried to convince him to watch something, he'd be like,
No, Uncle Hal.
Was this the same person that liked the was it Buffalo Fries at Torero Stadium?
yeah, he was the Buffalo Fry guy. Yeah. He enjoyed the Loyal match. I think he'll enjoy the Wave match. It's a fun hang.
Let's go Wave. All right, let's go Loyal was the
Ooh.
chant on that Wednesday at Torero. El equipo de San Diego, again, donning the 3rd kits. Is it cold for you?
No, I just wore it to talk a little smack.
Oh, okay. So you really aren't about it. Got it.
I didn't want you guys to be angry the whole time.
No, it's fine. The
That's
ang-
our
it
secret,
has
Alan.
plateaued.
We're always angry.
It said I got my For the Culture shirt because it's Juneteenth.
Oh, nice.
Support Black podcasts. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm trying to think. Do we have any podcast friends that are part of that community? Probably do. By the way, Breeders' best of.
Yeah.
You should nominate 2 balls and a mic, Alan.
Okay.
Like legitimately, if you go to here
Reader.
to San Diego Reader, vote San Diego best of. You can go down right here. Attorney King, good job, sponsored.
So local hip hop artist.
Best
podcast.
local.
podcast.
I mean,
Okay.
that's who.
Hip-hop artist.
Best local podcast. You can click there. And you can select 2 balls and a mic,
All right.
and nominate us for that.
Go ahead and nominate us for
100
best local podcast.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so San Diego Loyal, San Diego's team here in the men's side of things, right? Albion, sure. But until 2025, there's nothing else happening. We've mentioned that this is happening here. They've had a incredibly hard, difficult couple of matches. They played against the number 1. They played in the league essentially with Sacramento, They've played against the reigning defending champions at home and away, traveled a lot. They play against San Antonio again this last Wednesday. And it looked like this can be, the game to kind of cement Loyal's return to form, perhaps, here at home. The last game was kind of a wash. They get it's a fluky 3-3 tie in a way where red cards there.
Yeah.
Nick Moon, who got a red card in that game, is able to come back because there was one game in between.
Right.
Very, very interesting stuff that happened. But were you hopeful that it was going to be a win? I didn't know what to expect because this is the last push before a break. Usually San Diego Loyal doesn't really do that well when there's a break on the horizon, which, players got 4 days, 10 days before the next game. What were your feelings before going into the match?
I think it was nervous about the outcome. I think a lot of people were picking San Antonio to win this one. Loyal looking pretty good, but not, unbeatable. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people were picking this as a win for San Antonio. I thought probably a draw was probably a fair result based on, San Antonio is a good team and San Diego Loyal hadn't been clicking on all cylinders. They've been playing pretty well, but not good enough to get wins. Kind of some silly mistakes here and there, especially that 3-3 game. Just a couple of younger kids making, some decent plays, but having a couple little brain farts, some young mistakes. And so I thought going into this game, I picked a draw on the USL show, which usually means I think they might lose, but I don't want to ever pick San Diego to lose on the USL show. I don't feel like I can, but we saw some positive stuff against Sacramento, and Guido was one of those. And so there's always hope, right? There's always this feeling that at home you could do enough damage to win and get 3 points.
I'm trying to look at the lineup and compare it to that 3-3 tie, because if it wasn't for that red card early in the first half for San Antonio, maybe Loyal would have gotten the chance for that comeback, right? And the biggest difference is just Casancio in the back line. Elijah Martin was there in this game.
Yeah.
Now, which we all know by now that he is a huge, huge playmaker in that back line.
Yeah.
Whether it's at the center back position, at the wing back position, he makes a big difference there.
I'm going to join you.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead.
The other big difference was Duran Ferry was on goal, which he made mistakes in that game.
Yeah.
And Koke, obviously, more experience, a better overall goalkeeper based on the experience and the age. Those were the biggest differences, right? So I agree. I think the tie was fair. But did you guys like the lineup? I mean, is there ever a bad lineup that San Diego Loyal can put out?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I think it has to do a lot of the times where it almost looks like, what have you done for me recently? Rather than maybe based on the opponent, based on how you want to play, where it's like, oh, Elliot Collier had a really good game this one time. Let's start him for 3 games and hope that he's in form. And that happened when he scored the Miami FC game, that game winner, right? So that's gave him that boost. Now you're in the starting lineup. Seems like Adrian Perez has kind of lost favor a little bit because he started really hot, played well in the Open Cup. He's kind of a disruptor, had an injury, car crash of sorts. You know that, right? Yeah, right?
No.
Yeah, no?
All right.
Shoot.
You didn't know that?
No.
Because it was listed that, remember that game? I think it was the second game at Torero, third game at Torero.
Yeah.
where he wasn't on the bench. He wasn't on anything.
He was just out of
So on his way, he actually got into an accident.
Oh, damn.
And
Little
nothing
fender-
too
fender
serious.
bender.
Let me see. NBC had a story on it.
Oh, it was
because-
local soccer player gets
Yeah.
injured. I saw that and I was I thought it was
A soccer player.
like a Albion guy.
No, it was Adrian Perez. That's why he was out for that. Okay.
Oh,
this
no,
is-
not the first
man.
one.
All right.
Whoa.
Google's not helping right now.
Yeah,
But
I
the
remember
story.
seeing it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Essentially, his coming back in. He's a disruptor in any position you put him. I felt like he could have used the ball a little bit more, especially in the second half. But to answer your question, right, is there a bad lineup? Yes.
I do like that Damas and Conway have matching shoes. You can't see him behind because they're behind Shiva over there, but they are wearing the same Nike boot.
Oh yeah.
And it's quite cute, like right next to each other. It's
Matches
like,
with the kit.
oh, it does. It's super sweet.
Yeah,
I
I also like having Damos and Conway back together in the starting lineup too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think your point is well taken that there are like not as good lineups, and it's usually a rotated side or it's trying to play a hot hand as opposed to going with the guys you know. But you can't always use the guys you know. I saw someone critiquing people who talk about soccer is this isn't FIFA. You can't start the same 11 every game.
Yeah.
Game after game after game after game. And we're going to see, depending on how well Damas returns, we might see an Adrian Perez get a chance, just like Elijah Martin was kind of out and he worked his way back in.
With Blake Bodley playing well, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what I mean, right? Like Blake Bodley was playing well.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like, okay, we can use this in this way. Let's try to figure this out. And
Yeah.
I think that was around the time that I asked Nate Miller about, hey, do you know if you have your starting 11 say? He's like, well, I'm not even worried about that right now.
Yeah.
And, I think it'd be fair to hope that at this point you'd have an idea. Obviously, Charlie Adams being out has been huge for San Diego. Loyal sources actually have pointed that he will start in the next game.
Okay.
So Charlie Adams will start in the next game, or will at least get some action. But our sources are kind of pointing that direction. But San Diego Loyal were dominant in the first half. They were the team, and it almost looked like San Antonio was playing with 10 men again.
Yeah, I really like the way that San Diego, I think this is when they are playing at their best, they're putting other teams under pressure. And we really haven't seen this San Diego play against San Antonio like this, right? The few times we've seen them, it's like they've possessed the ball but haven't looked dangerous. And in this game, I think San Diego started to realize that they could hang and play with these guys. And a lot of that boils down to kind of those, the front four being able to play really well together. Yeah, definitely offside. We had to relook at that one. That's a great shot, though. That's a dinner round, I believe, who went to St. Louis and then got loaned down after the season started. He was one of the guys that I thought maybe
Was
instead
Damas.
of Damas, because he's a great player, and you can tell how good he is playing for San Antonio. And I think also Loyal doing a pretty good job of defending in this game for large chunks of the game.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of that has to do with being able to get out of pressure, being able to turn the ball over. Look at me. Look at that.
You're not allowed to be there, Alan.
Sure I can.
Look at this.
You're famous.
Look at this, Alan. Just
Yep.
Look at me.
Look at me.
yeah. Guido's actually checking with you, making
Yeah.
sure that you're good to go.
Yeah. He's telling me which direction to point the camera. And there was like a couple of crosses that I thought he did a good job. This is a typical one back post, and maybe some miscommunication between Riley and Adams, because that's the Adams heading it back into the mixer where everyone's going one way, he heads it back. But Nick Moon looked really nice. Again, Cameron Riley looked really nice. But I think, Guido is playing, and Nate Miller talked about it. I think Guido's playing some of the best soccer he's played for this team this year. And I noticed it last game. I thought he had a really nice game against Sacramento, sitting in some of the spaces and being able to turn and attack. He was doing a lot of that same stuff. And, he obviously gets that first goal, which was really well played. He's playing smart with the ball. Maybe not, again, my one critique is not playing Ronaldo in soon enough. And we saw that there. But I thought Guido had a really nice game, and a really nice first half from San Diego.
And that goes back to what you were saying, right, Tony? Where is this the turnaround where you feel San Diego Loyal playing better, and it could be the start of them kind of picking things up again? They are draws, but they are against tough teams. But again, Guido playing at the top level again that we know he can play at, You have the return of Charlie Adams. Slowly but surely, he'll get back to his level. Like, it's all good signs. The only thing that worries me now is, and we'll get to talk about it as well, is Ronaldo Damus was carted off at the end of the game just for precautions, but he picked up a knock, an injury. Team hasn't said anything, but we probably won't see him starting next game, maybe.
It was a physical game. It was a physical game. Just you have so many miles on these legs right now already, and you're about to embark on a long away stint, a second one, right? And so it's a lot of load management where, man, like we've seen Guido be injured. We've seen, we're seeing Corona, take a breather because he was running like a maniac for the first quarter of the season, both Open Cup and the league. So you're kind of seeing that wear and tear. Even Koke, like it's rare that goalkeepers pick up injuries like that, but the travel does kind of hurt you in that way. But ultimately, I think that the style that they're really going for is kind of starting to come back up, where you can pretty much do a plug and play, where you can have different players doing different things. Do I miss like the Collier Perez connection a little bit, but I think Perez is now kind of coming onto his own, where he doesn't need this one specific player to play well, or he can just bounce off of playing with anybody. And I don't know, he's kind of that X factor, I think, this season, where not a lot of pressure is given on him when he's on the ball. They don't know, opponents don't know what to expect, and by the time they realize what to react to, it's too late because he's already passed you, or you already dropped him for a foul.
Yeah, and I think Perez is going to have a nice, like Toomey did this game, where he comes on late and he's going to do some damage. Yeah, probably a handball in this situation, but
Probably right.
I think as he tumbles over, his elbow comes up. I think he's trying to tuck his elbow in, but this is like what you didn't want to see from Loyal, is to give
A goal like that.
a goal away, essentially. And the best part about that is the guy kicks the ball and it hits the post.
And misses, yeah.
But early in the second half, like
Yeah.
you already give this up. You were playing great, and it's kind of like it's a little demoralizing, right? Because you end the half so well.
Yeah.
You started off, and you're like, okay, let's pick this shit up.
All that hard work in the first half
Boom.
just to kind of
Penal.
look. People are still
Right.
at the Belinda's truck, like
Yeah,
still trying to get those cool purple kits in line. Did you get one?
I did not get one.
You should. Check them out at the shop. But yeah, it's a good San Antonio team. It's a good test. It's a good measuring. What is that called? Measuring stick.
Measuring stick.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
stick it in the water and measure.
Yep.
To where you're at. You play some really good teams. You play Sacramento back to back to San Antonio.
Well, we go back to
Doesn't get much easier.
we go back to, I mean, Alan and I had agreed a few episodes ago where after this next few away matches, if they still stay within the top 8, top 5, they're in good standing. Because the schedule is going to get a little easier. But realistically, I mean, the next game is going to be a big test as well. You're playing the best team, or the second best team now in the East, right? Best? Oh, 15th games, 27 points. How's Pittsburgh doing?
Amazingly, really well. This is a team with Bob Lilly. He's a one of those coaches that you're like, yes, this guy has been in the USL forever. He takes guys that no one's really heard of and turns them into really good players. Pittsburgh's always going to be a tough team. They're very defensive. Jesus, unmarked header.
Yeah, like, and that's been a struggle for San Diego
Yeah.
Loyal. Like, just marking, and they're gonna have to fix this in their next game because I
Yeah.
mean, on the road they're not. We've seen them struggle on the road before.
All right,
that's,
guys.
That's Conway trying to mark. That's not the guy you want on your back line.
Let's play a game of whose fault is it? Whose fault is it, guys?
Let's see. Keep playing it.
Oh, the turf for his
Oh, that's
injury.
right. He got hurt.
Poor guy.
Coca's fault.
So
Coca
you
should have caught
have-
that, man.
you have Stoneman. Like, I would have liked, because Riley's like trying to be aware, and he tries to step out because he's like, there's two guys. Like, where is Collier going? You know what I mean? Like, it's Collier and Conway who are not your best defenders, right? Like, Collier is like, I'm trying to mark a guy. I think Conway has this guy, but it's not Stoneman.
He looks a little lost too, but I mean, it's not
guarding 16. Yeah. It's just not being aware. It's two strikers not being aware, or two offensive players not really being aware of who they're supposed to be marking. And you have Camden Riley further up than those two. I mean, like, Blake Bodley's doing a pretty good job of boxing his guy out.
He's doing his part of the assignment.
Yeah.
Doing his part of the assignment.
At the end of the day, it's a broken play, right? Koke just clears it out. It lands on another player. And at this point, you have to adapt quickly and make sure that, okay, who do I mark? You need to know where you need to stand. At the end of the day, it's also a good cross. And the player is just positioned perfectly without a mark. So at the end of the day, it's also a good goal. And sometimes this is going to happen. This is hard to defend on broken plays. Like, there's really not much you can do at training to prepare for something like this because you don't really sometimes expect this happening. Ideally, yeah, you would want Koke to be able to catch the ball or do something else, but it's not on him. Like, he did his job.
I don't need him to catch the ball. I need him to punch the ball out. I need him to position himself better. Yeah, because
Or out.
Yeah, he does a good. He didn't play it back into the middle, but the place where he's jumping, he jumps way too early. He doesn't really measure it. Had he taken one step back and jumped upwards, I'm not even saying he catches it because, again, if you're in a crowd, you don't want to mess with traffic. You want the safe option, just punch it out.
So
but that punch,
essentially, to fix this, you have to talk to Matt Hall and Koke and say, hey, in plays like this, do this instead, because then a broken play is going to happen like this, and we're going to be vulnerable in plays like this. So you're blaming Koke.
yeah, and it's very nitpicky. It's nitpicky.
It is.
I
I
get it. Because, again, like, had that ball been punched out, that power with the punch gives your defense a little bit more time to reorganize, to recenter themselves. This kind of just lays right there inside of the small box almost. And then, again, it just kind of – this should have never happened again. The second part either, because there's 2 versus 5. There's 2 dudes who – I mean, Bodley's doing his job.
Going back to what Alan said, I mean, we just talked about Wave with Korniak defending set pieces, right? She's an attacking player. These are attacking players as well. They're not the best at defending. Their biggest worry is not having to try to defend.
The 2 guys in the back know exactly like what he's talking. Like, man, Koke.
Chingada madre.
Yeah, I'm not sure Koke like even expected that ball to be put in his direction.
It's a good header too.
It's a really good header.
Yeah, and that header is impossible. Like, top bin where, quote, grandma keeps the cookies. So Camden's marking him as he comes through, or marking 14 as he comes through. And so I think, 2 slips his guy because that was originally Guido was marking him, and now Guido's like, I got to play this pass. And so I think it's just this is like, yeah.
Plays like this are very hard to stop. You're muted again, buddy.
Sorry. Had he just taken that one step?
Yeah.
Because he just jumped upwards. He didn't really move. He just jumped upwards.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine because at the end of the game, guess what? San Diego Loa came back.
And Adrian Pettis, right? That's a substitution that Nate Miller made.
With a it was a really nice work goal. Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's kind of like they scored the second goal. San Antonio did, and everyone sees like, well, you know what? Like, man, San Antonio.
Because they're going to lock down. And that's what they do.
And that's what they're the best at, just being able to lock it down. But again, great play from San Diego Loyal.
Guido,
and the
man.
two substitutions that you put in. You put Toomey, Adrian Pettis, and they get together for this goal.
I want you to go all the way back to the beginning of that to see like the way like Toomey, that's just beautiful. Nice control, and he's the guy who starts it, and he brings his guy with him. So then Nick Moon goes into that space, and then Guido is just. This is what Guido did against Sacramento too. Sat in between the 2 lines where there's tons of space, and just drove.
And see, here is where he's been doing one of two things: either taking too long to pass or shoot,
Yeah.
keeping the ball, or taking a shot that's like, all right, well, at least you shot. But he makes the right choice, and he does a very good pass.
Right. And boom. goes
Adrian
the
Pettis
dynamite.
does such a good job
That's a
at
great-
just beating his defender. Like that's such a natural goal scorer instinct
Yeah.
to beat your defender off the back and just first touch that in. Again, like it doesn't get better than this for plays. Like I mean, this is essentially one of the most impressive plays they've done this season for sure. And Adrian Pettis just has that natural instinct of just being able to be a goal scorer with the first touch. We see a lot of goals like this when it comes to MASL. Like those passes, first touch shots. I mean, that's his background and it's making an impact here.
Yeah, I think this goal is similar. I mean, if this was a San Antonio podcast, they'd be doing the same thing. But like, whose fault is that? It's one of those like
Well, that's hard to stop.
offensive players are making diagonal runs. You're not sure who, especially because Nate Miller said they were playing man to man, right? And so you have these diagonal runs where the defender is like, I got to stick with my guy, but then that opens up. They collapse and that opens up space on the outside. Toomey's really smart to find that space, and then back again that Perez, really nice run.
And then going back to is having Nick Moon from back there to be able to just take on any player, like at any given time. Whoop, bye. You get this player to go to you now. Now Toomey's unmarked because that other center back is gonna have to push in towards Guido.
And look how like Guido just stays in that area, and
He's like,
he
I'm
knows
open.
he needs
Yeah.
the ball right there. He knows it. He asks for it because he knows he has that space. He's going to be able to drive forward because, again, you have Conway, who's also helping him with that run, helps him with a dummy, essentially, that screen that goes behind him. And then, again, Toomey doing what he's supposed to be doing. He started the play at center field. He continues it and follows it through.
This is something that they practice.
Yeah.
And this is what Nate Miller likes and coaches like in general. When they see their plays at practice coming to reality and just essentially making the difference. Like, this is why Nate Miller is the head coach. This is why he gets paid what he gets paid. I don't know how much he gets paid, but I'm sure it's nice. For drawing shit like this. Like, this is a great, great play that is practiced. I mean, you talked about it before, right? And Nate Miller mentioned it. We haven't had time to practice. We've had so many road games and so many You give him a few days to maybe train, and you get results like this.
Like, yeah.
The other thing I think, looking back at that, like that play was still really well defended. Look at that. Like, you're talking about, I think they had a box set up defensively in that one. Like, it was still pretty well defended. Look at that. That's 4-on-1 essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that's still pretty decently defended. It's just Perez beats his guy. It's like that quick one-touch pass, which, again, for Toomey, isn't necessarily one of his strengths. Usually he likes to dribble with the ball. But for him to do this one-touch pass back across really helps Perez beat his guy because Toomey knows he's making that run. The defender can't react fast enough.
And the thing is, the defender also thinks he's going to pass it a little backward, una diagonal, like what we call it in Spanish, right? Just a backwards pass.
Yeah, because technically maybe Elijah should have been a little bit more in the center waiting for a
And the thing
pass.
is, he knows there's space right there. So, he's going to pass where the space is at because my center backs are all behind me. So essentially, Toomey just says, well, you know what? I'm going to cross it here and hope for the best. And
Create chaos, essentially.
Yeah.
And Perez just, again, that natural instinct kicks in and
Good goal.
beats the defender.
But that essentially is a 2-2 for San Diego Loyal. San Diego Loyal tying against the champions, reigning defending. It still has its pedigree, right? Like, they're still a very good team here in the West, still the champion. So they weren't satisfied. Guido was talking about not being satisfied with the amount of points that they got in this stretch.
In
They
the
got
last
3
games, yeah.
points out of a possible 9 tough opponents, but that's a good mentality to have. Couple of the thoughts here from Nate Miller, which
games when we've made adjustments, so we've been working on
You
it
guys can't hear.
just to suit
Here,
some of
I
our
heard it.
attacking players in certain situations.
I was there.
The game is not.
I was there too.
how you can see our approach to the game was a lot different when a team man marks you all across the field like that and just chases
man
you.
marking.
It's very, very difficult and unwise just to play short passes out of the back and build the game like we do. So it's really about isolating our playmakers, our front three across the front line, and joining in and using the third man and playing. And we did a really good job of it.
So he was talking essentially about doing what we say he doesn't do a lot. It's adapting to the opponent, which he's like, well, if we play our style that we are known with short passes and playing out the back, you're going to get caught up with a mistake, and that's where San Antonio is the best at, and they're going to catch you on the back foot. They had to isolate their playmakers and let them do plays, and that's really what I appreciate about this game is that really came through. There's a middle ground for that, and has Loyal found that? Maybe not just yet, but I think once Charlie comes back and he starts pulling those strings, Colin Martin in that starting lineup, like this Loyal team can really start being that team that we were projected to in the first. They should be 1-2, 1-2-3 perhaps, even with the opponents in the Western Conference.
Yeah, because what makes Charlie Adams dangerous is to be able to put the ball in from distance. And put a really good ball in from distance, and I think that's something that Loyal's game has missed. Right, you have Toomey and you have Guido taking corners and stuff, and they're fine.
Yeah,
but they're not quite as good as Adams was doing. And when you do that, it forces teams to come out a little bit more, which creates even more space for guys like Guido and Toomey to take advantage of. So they're less three-dimensional than they normally are, which we've seen them only get a couple draws. And I get his point, like three points out of 3 games isn't great. It's like winning one and losing the other 2. I think the other side to that, though, is you kept San Antonio at only 2 points in those games, too, right? Like, it's not like you gave up. Like, if you lost and they won one of those, and, like, it would be, you'd be giving them 3 points. Whereas now you're limiting them to 1, especially those head-to-head. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this is why Monterey's caught up. This is why Colorado Springs is catching up. Oakland's catching up. You need to get those 3 points. Monterey beating Sacramento, giving their first home loss of the season. That's why they are where they are. And so now you're still pretty good spot, but it's real congested, 9 through 3. You know what I mean? Like Sacramento and El Paso have kind of distanced themselves, but it's a long season, right? We've seen El Paso down at the bottom and run up to the top. Monterey was kind of low, and we're running up to the top now with 3 wins on the bounce. So that's what you got to be hopeful for San Diego is,
run.
Yeah, turn some of those draws into wins, and you're going to be just fine.
Pittsburgh on Saturday.
Ooh,
predictions.
Yep. Ooh. What's Pittsburgh's 5 game? They're playing well. Yeah, 4 wins and a draw.
Oh, that's a lot of green.
Yeah. I mean, that Oakland game, like Oakland had some guys out on international duty, so that like looks a little bit worse than it is for Oakland. I think Oakland probably feels better. Who did Pittsburgh play before this? They've had a pretty good run. Yeah, Charleston, Phoenix, Loudoun, okay, Vegas, okay, Birmingham, yeah. So they're playing really well. They're going to be a defensive team. They don't put a ton of goals up, except against Vegas. They don't put a ton of goals up, right? 1-2 goals here or there. So it's going to feel very much, I think, like San Antonio, like Sacramento. And so maybe those 2 games or these 3 games have really helped put them in position to do well. But they're 5-0-1 at home. Like, that's no joke. They play at Highmark Stadium, which makes me giggle. For those of you who've seen The Room, oh hi Mark.
Oh hi Mark.
Every time, and it's like if you haven't seen that stadium, it's gorgeous. Like there's a train goes by. It's right on the river. The bridge is right there. It's a gorgeous place to watch a game on TV. That view not as good, but the other view. But you can see it's right there on the river.
Oh, guess what, guys? It's family fiesta night.
Oh. So they're gonna have their ground beef and cheese and shredded lettuce and tomatoes.
Amazing.
On a
the yins are talking.
Muy delicioso.
Yes.
Oh Jesus.
They're gonna have their carne asada out there.
Carne asada. Yes, sir.
Carne and their polo. Can we get that polo?
Is San Diego Loyal winning this game?
Oh.
Oh, I thought you were
I'll
about to
start.
say no.
Yes.
Oh.
All right.
They get a 2-0 win.
Oh, okay.
They get a
Zero.
clean shit. Clean shit.
Damn.
Clean shit on the road.
Clinch the shit. All right.
That's Sacramento.
Unless Durant's on goal, then that's a different story. But if it's Koke, it's gonna be a clean sheet.
Yeah. Highmark Stadium.
Hi, Mark.
They always show like the worst angle of Highmark Stadium.
Tear me apart, Lisa.
Championship Stalkers team.
Good one.
Alan, so what are you thinking? A tie? Or
I'm gonna go 1-1.
Safe. Tony, give us the loss.
Well, he gave us his loss. He told us that whenever he picks a tie, he thinks we're going to lose.
Yeah.
So odds are in my favor. A San Diego Loyal loss, 1-0. Just a 1-0.
Wow, and you were just praising them for maybe being able to turn things around. Wow.
I mean, again, I'd love for them to prove me wrong because this would be a really good team to shut me up against, right?
Yeah.
If they go up against Loudoun and win 1-0, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, they're back. Like, no, like I need something that's
And Loudoun
solid.
is not your grandfather's Loudoun of yesteryear. I mean, I think with 10 days to prep for this one and getting some rest, it does bode well for them to be able to face that team well prepared. You're losing a training day, but you have 10 days, right? So you lose a training day, but you still have a full week of training to get prepped for this one. Hopefully guys are healthy. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Loyal pulls out a victory, but I think it's going to be really difficult against Pittsburgh the way they're playing right now.
And it's going to happen.
You really think
It's
so?
going to happen.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that. By the way, just on this topic, like, just shout out to San Diego Loyal who helped me out.
Ooh.
Make me look good at work. And sent over Charlie Adams and Ebby to an event with some kiddos down in the South Bay. Essentially led a clinic. It went well. I mean, had a good conversation with Charlie. Was walking. I don't know if that was an issue before in his injury, but he seemed to look good, in high spirits. He was actually about to go get a haircut before, but he was like, nope, like this matters. Like, this is important to me, and he wants to be out there. So I really appreciate Captain Charlie and Ebby making it out there. I have it somewhere else, but I was in action. Like,
I saw that video.
They got to see. They got to like. Charlie was like, "Oh shit! Like, you do this? Like, oh man! Like, props to you." I was like, "I'd love to do this for your players, for your teammates. Like, I'll go help them out."
Tony.
You also did capture just tenderness on the sidelines.
Yeah, very adorable.
Mi hermanito.
You're next.
Woo!
I'm losing some weight first, so let's get on. Let's wait for that.
That's fine. I can take it.
I did see you save a kid's life. There it is.
DMs.
Saving a kid's life right there.
Yeah, and Ebby too. Like, Ebby was just all right. Look at that. That's the hand of God up there. Little.
Oh,
the hand of
Maradona?
Maradona.
Maradona.
Look at this.
Very nice.
Here you go.
Coach
Cat-like
Tony. That's a nice red
reflexes.
shirt.
Yeah, my program has better shirts than your program.
Oh,
Or like, I care.
fight.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's cool when they send folks out. Like, I saw the Toomey and Koke one. It's always nice to get them out in the community. Like, that's what we ask of teams to do. I really appreciated San Diego sending out $1,000 tab. Did you see that for Juneteenth? Scroll up.
Where'd it go?
A little bit further, right there. So today we recognize Juneteenth, celebrate Black community in San Diego. Join us in supporting Black-owned businesses. So you open a $1,000 tab at Musita. There's a bistro, 5 Space, which is like a record store.
Okay.
Mostly hip hop in North Park. I shouldn't say mostly hip hop. It's like they do a lot of hip hop there, but they do the hip hops. And then Freshly Faded Barber.
Juneteenth. God damn it.
Yeah, and so they started a $1,000 tab. I did not go to any of these today, but hopefully people took advantage of it and became customers of these Black-owned businesses. And then I believe they put a link to a bunch of other Black-owned shops in. Click on Juneteenth Freedom Day. Nope. Yeah,
here
there
we
you go. So like they just highlighted black-owned business. I think they did this last year. Highlighted these. This is from San Diego.org. Streetcar merchants. We really enjoyed that. When we were fatter, we really enjoyed those. So there's 5 Space selling vinyl cassettes, vintage clothing. It's family-owned and operated record shop in North Park. It's a haven for hip-hop aficionados.
So you weren't entirely wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just a kind of I know we asked them to do those things for the community, and instead of just recognizing them, they're like, hey, we're going to start a tab. Please go
Yeah, that's
support
speak
these
with your
businesses.
wallet.
Yeah.
And they did that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
619 day. It's a day of celebration today. Time and a half for some people, some people
Yeah.
got the day off.
This guy did.
This guy did too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked a 12-hour shift.
Wow, your job doesn't care about Juneteenth.
If I speak, I get in trouble.
Yeah,
I think you guys should unionize.
Hey,
you really want to start some shit,
Whoa,
don't
hey,
you?
shit, Alan.
What a dumb union that would be of just the. I mean, not saying every union has just geniuses walking about.
Yeah, but
I mean, you're fine. You're one of them.
Yeah, I am one of them.
Yeah, but that would be imagine a youth leader just union.
And I did want to shout out the Henny Derby happened this past weekend. I don't know if either of you know this, the story of the Henny Derby. It's Forward Madison versus Richmond Kickers, which is in League One, and it was started by 2 black supporters, Kyle, and I don't remember the other gentleman's name. I will look it up and I will give it to you. But yeah, Featherstone Flamingos, which is a black supporters group for Forward Madison, River City 83, I believe. It's Richmond Kickers, and there was a really cool article in The Protagonist talking about the history of it, and yeah, I guess we can let them explain it.
19th of the first season. Richmond were about to play Fort Madison, and Elliot Barr, who is a supporter down in Richmond, tweeted at me asking if we wanted to do a wager for the game, in which it was loser buys the winner a bottle of Hennessy, which of course I'm going to accept.
Damn right.
Lost. So I had to buy and ship a bottle down to Richmond, and we just kept that going back and forth, and then it got to the final game, and we had the whole eruption tour as well. Fort Madison won that, so they won the first ever Henny Derby series, and there's a trophy.
Their social
that's kinda
media
how it all started.
is really, really
last
good
year,
for
Richmond won
Fort
the final
Madison.
game, which
Their
sucks,
TikTok
so
page
stay
is
Richmond.
really,
But this
really
year,
entertaining.
thanks to Fort Madison winning both games, it is currently on its way to Wisconsin as we speak. So
Yeah, so like the teams have really embraced it, and so that's super cool.
No, that's awesome, man.
The Henny Derby.
I know
I like that.
here we had in the first game the Shield versus the Vegas supporters.
Yeah.
That kind of died along with the pandemic for a little bit there. It didn't get picked up, but no, it's really cool. What alcohol would we have?
Tequila.
The Corralejos? No, it had to be craft beer. Like some sort of craft, like San Diego.
Corralejo, I mean, it's a sponsor now.
With who, though? Like, what other team?
Oh, shit.
What other El Paso? The Tex-Mex versus, like, we send a California burrito. They send us some queso.
Some queso.
We can hit up the El Paso guys
Those guys
or
are
San
awesome.
Antonio.
But yeah, San Diego Loyal, man. I mean, it's still the only show in town.
Anything else?
Only
gentlemen?
men's
Show in town.
Yeah.
There's no for now.
Yeah.
Anything else, gentlemen?
No, I cut my hair today. I made
Oh,
2
nice.
bags this
Looks
weekend.
nice.
I made a bag for a farmer's market and a little like.
Oh, you made the
Japanese-
bag.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought
learning
that's
how
what
to
you meant.
learning how to sew. So I made a couple
Hey,
bags.
man, you got your bag up like you made money.
No. I like
He's not that
sewed some
Not that
bags.
Hell yeah. That's
I know you're chill like that.
that's the most farmers market activity you could have done.
Yeah, we went to Hillcrest Farmers Market and I brought my homemade tote bag.
And then you put all the other tote bags inside that one. Now that's your tote bag holder.
Yes, that's my tote bag holder. It's very nice.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for making it all the way down here. Like, I appreciate you coming to the South Bay and sitting down with us each and every time you do, because it's awesome, man. Thank you for coming in. It will get hotter as the summer goes. Just giving you
It's all
a
right.
heads
I'm
up.
going to be living in Riverside during the week a little bit. So
That's right.
Like, as hot as it is here, it'll be hotter up there. So it'll be nice to be like, oh, it's not as hot.
San Diego Internacional UPSL plays on Sunday. We will have the championship stream. The links everywhere. They made it. Yeah, 100%. They made it. The boys made it. So we'll see what that brings against Escondido, the arch rivals for them this season. It's going to be
First versus second place.
Mission Bay High School. We'll get that time because they need to rent the space still from Mission Bay High School. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned to that. Thank you, Alan, for coming in. Chiba,
pleasure.
you know you're tired.
Yeah,
The hell out of here.
A little bit.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Bye.